Yo guys, this is your artist Tolg, and today I will show you how to draw Majin Vegeta in a Saiyan armor, and I will also answer some of your questions, so let's go. I got my A4 size paper ready, also my ruler, pencil and eraser, and the links to the exact same materials I'm using you can find in the info box below. We will draw Vegeta from the front with crossed arms, and to get started we will use some guidelines. We will halve the paper and then we will draw a 3 cm guideline for the face on top. Then we will start with the eyes from the middle, and we are using the guideline for the length of the eyebrows. You can also use a ruler right now to check if the eyebrows are the same height. The eyes we will place above the guideline as well, and the iris on top. Then we will draw the edgy nose, and therefore the vertical line is very helpful, so the nose is perfectly centered. Then we can draw some wrinkles on the forehead and below the eyes. After that we will draw the mouth and we'll give Vegeta a nice smirk. That fits him the most. Now we can draw the face shape, and right now I'm drawing just the shape of it until I find the perfect face shape. The face is very edgy, and we are also using the guidelines to draw that, so both sides are equal. The forehead is also very big, and as you know, has a heart-like shape. The ears we are drawing next to the eyes, and make sure that the ears are the same size and the same height. Then we will draw the notorious M on the forehead, and after that some veins more on top of the forehead. And while we are doing that, we can answer the first question. Tell about drawing different body poses and structure. I actually did a whole dedicated video to the male full body not too long ago, so you should definitely check that out. In that video I'm talking in depth how to draw muscle shapes and so on. So for the hair, I'm drawing the very rough shape first, so I know the size, and then we can draw each hair strand more detailed. Saiyan hair is very thick in the beginning, and towards the end it gets very spiky. And when you're happy with the hair shape, you can add some hairlines to all the individual hair strands. Next question. How long does it take you to draw, and what is the size of your eyeliners? I think it means the pens for the outlines. The time I need for my drawings really depends. Sometimes 4 hours for more simple drawings, and sometimes even 30 hours for huge drawings with multiple characters. As for the pen size, I use the thinnest ones, but also thicker ones, It depends on what I need to ink. The head is done and really looks great. Now to the torso. We will draw Vegeta with crossed arms, and here as well we will start with drawing the shape of the arms and the armor. Drawing crossed arms can be tricky, but when you draw the shape of the arms first, drawing them later on detailed and also positioning them correctly gets way easier. I'm also figuring out the shape of the armor, more specifically the length and height of the shoulder pads. And the next step is to get a bit more detailed. Now we can figure out the real shape of the muscles and the armor, and while I do that, I always like to erase all the unnecessary pencil lines to keep the sketch as clean as possible. That's also great for you, so you cannot be irritated by any of those pencil lines. And we can answer another question. What's the best way to learn how to draw Dragon Ball Z muscles like you and be able to create our own poses? It's a great question, but as I answered the previous one, I just made a whole dedicated video for how to draw the male full body, so you should definitely check that out too. But in short terms, the easiest way to draw is to start out with guidelines and rough sketches. Then you already know where to start, and the key point is always practice. Now I am drawing the muscles on the arms, which will be very defined, and as you can see, as we drew the rough shape of the arms first, we basically just give them a better shape and definition. Make sure that both arms are the same size and on the same level, and therefore we got the ruler. Even to this day, I still have to use a ruler sometimes, because for some reason the right side is never the same level as the left side, especially when I draw characters from the front like today. Next question, do you think your art style is good as it is now, or you plan on improving on it? I'm always looking for improvement, not only in drawing. I also improve the quality of the videos over the years, same as for the music, the way I talk in the videos, the editing. I'm also using way better materials and equipment over the years, and of course my drawings also gotten way better than before. It's a natural process, and I'm sure I will be even better in all of these points in a few years from now. Right now, I'm not really trying to change the way I draw, but of course I always try to improve. Now we are drawing the tail, which is wrapped around the waist, and then we would be done with the upper part. It looks great. Majin Vegeta in an old school Saiyan armor looks so dope. As for the lower part, we will start with the pads, which are there for protection, and we also have to make sure that these 3 pads are the same size and length. And the next question is, can you make a new redraw episode? Definitely. That's my favorite series, and a new episode will definitely follow soon. The last redraw was Goku's evolution, and I think next we can see Vegeta's evolution. What do you think? Perfect. As for the legs, we cannot see much of it, but we will draw the legs muscular as usual. That looks amazing, and now to finish up the sketch, we will surround Vegeta with some lightning, as we will draw him with an aura today. Therefore I'm using a blue color pencil and adding lightning all over Vegeta very lightly. And that's it. Majin Vegeta in a Saiyan armor with crossed arms. I really like this, and now we can get to the inking. For the inking, you need high quality pens. The brand doesn't matter, I use pens from Ohuhu and Copic with different sizes. And now we are basically tracing the entire sketch very carefully, slowly and patiently, line by line. And when we finish the first layer after erasing, I usually do a second layer of ink where I give the line art some thicker lines. But today I will just improve the line art a little bit more and will keep the lines very decent. Alright, line art is done and I love it. Looking really good, and now we can get to the coloring. For the coloring I'm using only Ohuhu brush markers today, but you can use any coloring materials you want, even color pencils. Ohuhu brush markers are alcohol based markers which you can blend very well, and these are also my favorite markers at the moment. We will start with the skin, and I always like to start with the brightest color tone, which is R18. We will cover the whole skin with that, which is just the neck and head part, and we will leave white parts on the outer parts of the face and neck area for the shiny effect. Then we are using R20 for the shading, and here I like to use the face features and muscles to add big shades to the skin. You can also use an even darker tone here to give the character even harder shades. I do that very often, the skin pops out so much like that. And finally, we will use R12 to give the shades more deepness. This is very important for the overall coloring and the final result. This we will also do on the wrinkles, face features and muscles. I also like to use an even darker tone sometimes to add even more deepness to some areas. For the iris, we will use 2 blue or green tones and a light gray tone to add some shades to the eyes. Now to the hair. We will use Y1 and we will cover the entire hair, but again leaving some white parts to each hair strand for the shiny effect. Then we are using YR2 to add some big shades to the hair. To add these shades, I'm using the hairlines as you can see, and this way the shading looks very natural. Now some blending, and then we will use BR2 for some darker shades to give the hair more deepness. So guys, the head is done and it looks amazing. Now we will color the armor, and I will color it with the same colors as Vegeta's old school armor. Starting with the chest part, which is gray, and here I'm using BG03 and BG3 for the brighter parts. I'm also leaving some white parts, again for the shiny effect. And for the deepness, I will use BG05. Then continuing with the yellow shoulder pads, and for the base you can use a normal yellow tone and make sure to leave white parts here as well. For the shading we are using YR1, and we will go over these areas many times until these parts are covered very evenly. Then some blending, and for the darker shades we will use BR1. And this is how we will color the rest of the armor, and meanwhile we can get to the next question. Do you freehand your draws or do you use reference? I get this question a lot, and the answer is I do both. For this drawing right here, I may have used a reference for the face or the cross arms, but even when I use references, I only use them for some specific parts. That means I rarely copy another picture 100%. Sometimes I need help with the shape of the hand or the face or a pose, and therefore I search for references. But I love drawing from the head most of the time. So for the blue suit underneath the armor, we will use BP6 for the base and leaving some white parts here as well, which we will color then with BP7. I'm using these blue tones with many layers as I want my drawings to be as smooth as possible. This will give them a digital effect, which will look like your drawing was printed, not drawn. For the shades I'm using BP4, and normally with darker tones you don't have to use as many layers. And as you can see, I'm also adding these shades on the muscles. Some more blending, and to give the shades even more deepness, we will use BG09. The process for the other arm will be exactly the same, and we can get to the next question. How did you get good at anatomy? I was really not great on proportions when I first started drawing seriously. I did huge mistakes which I realized later on, but that's normal. I think what helped me to get better was definitely using guidelines and starting out with the rough sketch of the characters. I know that I mention these 2 points often, but these small things are really that important and very helpful. For the gloves, we will use the same tones as we use for the armor and in the same order. And for the tail, we will also use the same colors as we used for the hair. Alright, the upper part is done once again, and now we will color the lower part, which is not that complicated. As for the protection pads, we will color them the same way as the shoulder pads. Same color tones, same order, and make sure to color each area very evenly. Next question, how long have you been drawing? As a kid, I was drawing all the time. I really had a wild fantasy, and even back then, I was creating my own characters, drawing my own mangas and fights, and even drawing games. I have shown many drawings of my childhood here on YouTube, which you can check out. And then I had a long break from drawing in my teenies, but eventually started drawing again. But seriously, I am drawing for around 9 to 10 years now. And now we will color the legs, and here as well, same process as for the arms. Same order of color tones, and make sure to color each area as even as possible. And while we do that, we can answer another one. Can you let me know how much commissions cost? That really depends. I have A5, A4, A3 and A2 size papers available, and even bigger if you want. Obviously, a one character drawing on A5 will cost way less than a multiple character drawing on A2, like last week's drawing, which was really crazy. So the price for a custom drawing really depends on what you want me to draw. So if you are seriously interested in a custom drawing, you can message me on Instagram. Alright guys, Vegeta is done, and now we can get to the aura. First I'm drawing the shape of the aura with a color pencil very lightly, and then you need 2 yellow tones, one darker and brighter one, and we will use the brush tip of the marker with lots of strokes so the aura looks like electricity. And make sure that the aura is coming out of Vegeta. So coloring the aura like this can take a bit of time as we're using the marker with many strokes, but it has to be like that, so take your time and we can answer another question. question while doing that. How do you get everything so perfectly clean? Well, I have to admit I love my drawings to be clean. Even the sketch has to be as clean as possible. Above all, the inking. The line art just has to be flawless, and also for the coloring, and that's why I use many layers so everything is perfectly even, and that's just my style. But when you take a look at my older drawings, that wasn't always the case. Over the years my art evolved like that, and I think in this video, for example, you can see how I do that. Perfect, the aura looks amazing, and for the lightning we will first use BG4 to give them a light blue color, and then I will use a blue gel pen to outline the lightning, and here as well I want the lightning to look like real electricity, so I will make it spiky and give it some thin and thicker parts. When you use a gel pen, pay attention that it dries first before you touch it with your hand or something, otherwise it will smear. But that's pretty much it guys, let's finish this, let's go. Alright, there we have it. Majin Vegeta with crossed arms and a Saiyan armor with a cool aura and lightning. If you are a beginner, this wasn't easy I'm sure, but you can come back to this video as often as you need to. I got easier drawing tutorials to follow, so make sure to check out my tutorial playlist and let me know in the comments for which characters you want to see a tutorial next. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe if you are new, and the real-time version of this will be online soon. The one and only original drawing of this Vegeta is now available on Etsy, and for commissions, message me on Instagram. That's it guys, thank you all for watching and I see you on the next